Is it wrong to get this excited by your watercolor paints? I say no. Whee! Oh, look at that already. Gorgeous. Well, spring has finally sprung on the west coast of Canada, and I am getting so inspired by these beautiful colors of nature. I am going to create myself a new watercolor palette. I'm going to go from 23 colors down to 9, so grab yourself a cup of something, get cozy, paint with me, or just enjoy watching the process. Hey everybody, it's Tanya here. Today we are going to do a watercolor swatching video. I got this wonderful mint tin which holds 9, and I'm going to pick some colors from what I've got here to use for some upcoming paintings, and I'm really excited to share because it's a fun process, and I hope that you hang out with me and learn a little bit about the different colors and pigments and some of the things that happen when you create watercolor. So the first thing I want to point out, if you're new to watercolors, you're probably wondering why these all look really dark, almost black. And that's because many of these are super saturated pigments. And then when you add water, the colors really do change quite drastically. You'll also see that some of them, like this one here and this one here, are quite shimmery. And that's because they have a combination of mica, or some of them are from Daniel Smith and they are actual minerals and stones and crystals that have been crushed, and they have their own natural mica and sparkle, and so you will see that as we begin to swatch them out. Started this process by creating a really rough swatching, and this is just for myself, just so I can see how the colors look and how they dry and how they interact with the water, and sort of, you know, to give me a bit of a visual play of what's going to work together, what's not. Am I going to do cool and warm tones, or am I going to mix them up, or how am I going to do it? And then going into my beautiful fancy hardcover and creating some palettes. Now, these were inspired by 2 different watercolor artists that I follow and love, and I'm going to give them a shout out because it's really worth checking out their work. Both of them are incredible and totally different styles. So Laura Horn Art and Natasha Newton Art, and both of them kind of do this type of thing. Now, I am not the neatest, as you can see. You know, I'm perfectly imperfect, and I'm very cool with that. So I make mistakes. I put stickers on stuff because I wrote the wrong name, and I do things in pen and paper, and you can see, you know, that's just who I am, and I'm cool with that. So if it's something that you're thinking about doing, you know, give yourself a break. Take the pressure off. And as an aside, you know, sometimes it's fun to just take out all your colors and play with them, because you never know what's going to inspire you. And for this one in particular, I was just doing tone tests with buff titanium, which is the watercolor mixing wonder that many people use, because you can get a whole different set of colors and tones simply by mixing this with your existing colors. And so that's what this one is. And I'm just suggesting it because sometimes you see colors and textures together and you go, oh, that would be beautiful together in a painting. And you might not have ever thought of it before if you're like me and your desk looks like this. And you've got watercolors everywhere. So that's part of what I'm doing today, just to get a little organized. Just for expedience sake, I've split my page into 4 so that I can see 4 different color combinations, so that I'm really happy with what I'm going to do in the end. And I'm just going to start putting some colors down and seeing how I feel about it. First one, which is one of my absolute favorites, is the Undersea Green by Daniel Smith. This is a really pretty color that has a nice dynamic range, meaning that it can go very light and it can go very dark. You see it's going down quite dark, right? So we're gonna start with that. Oh, just love this color. You know, sometimes you, as a painter or an artist, or even somebody that just does this for fun and is creative, you can get so excited by the simplest things, and they can really inspire memories and emotions and feelings. And that's part of the work that I do. And I really, really enjoy them being quite evocative. What I like to do is I like to put the color down and then add a drop of water, because that does 2 things. It gives me the lights and the darks, but also if it's a paint that is granulating, like this one is a little bit, you get that nice separation with the water, and this is going to dry quite beautifully. Right, the next color I'm going to do is Terra Verte, which means green earth. And this is a really interesting color because it is a dual pigment, and that means that there is the opportunity for two different colors to show depending on how the pigment is when you pick it up on your brush and how much water you add. I'm really bad at these circles. Also, this is one of those really interesting ones that I find dries quite a bit darker, or I should say lighter than it looks. Next one is, and I think I'm saying this correctly, I might not be, Perelyne green is like, and just by the ocean at night. It is such a gorgeous, deep color, or it's like the forest, beautiful, dark, tropical leaves, or coniferous forest, you know, like whatever it is that your imagination is inspired to see. How I'm just going to do this for a second and just blend it in. Do you see this color? How you get this beautiful mid-range color, and then you can also go very, very dark or light depending on the water. So it's a high quality pigment because you can get a variety of tones out of it. And that's why I love the Daniel Smith pigments and paints, because you just get so much play out of one color. It's incredible. Can you see what's happening in the deep sea green here? Do you see how it's beginning to shift colors and dry a bit with the yellow kind of mossy greens on this end, and then that beautiful dark? I mean, it already looks like a little vignette, doesn't it? It looks like the shadows on a pond, or you're behind a tree looking out into a green field at night or something. Now look at that compared to this one. Same paint, same paper, same water. You see how fun it is, because you don't know what's going to happen. And I personally love that unpredictability. So this is what you see with the granulating paint. It begins to separate. You'll see more than one color. Beautiful. So all a little bit different, and when they dry, they'll all be a little bit different. And that's what's so much fun about playing with swatches. So I decided to put 4 sections, and what I've done is these are going to be warm, this is going to be a mix of warm and cool, these are my personal favorites, and this is going to be the cool colors. So I'm going to just add this in here, and I just love this one because it goes gray, but it goes blue, and you can go light and you can go dark. Is it wrong to get this excited by your watercolor paints? I say no. Oh, look at that already. Gorgeous. This one in the water is so delightful. It has so much play with the water. Have a dynamic organic reaction, meaning that some will go into the water and spread, some will pull back from the water, and you can use that when you're painting. Yeah, so already this is looking really beautiful, and I know that this is going to go quite blue in here. Blue, purpley blue, which is quite lovely. All right, I'm going to put it down in some of the other spots, and I'll be back. Warm tone, so I'm going to put that into the warm section here and see how I like that. This is one that's quite interesting. This is an actual mineral. It's what's called a Series 4 by, and the Primatech also, by the Daniel Smith lineup. And it's quite expensive because it's an actual crystal that they've crushed and then added medium to, so that you can create watercolor with it. And the stone itself is actually a really beautiful, almost cobalty blue color with streaks of white calcite in it, and so it's a very smoky kind of blue gray color. So I'm going to start by adding it to my section at the bottom here, which is the cool section, and then because I love it so much, it's going to go in this section here, which is my favorites. And this is another color that has a beautiful dynamic range. I love it. It's almost like a dark indigo denim. And look at how the light comes through it. Really beautiful for contrast work or deep dark shadows. It's one of those ones that gives a beautiful texture because the pigment is quite heavy and it doesn't like the water so much, meaning it doesn't diffuse into a solid color. And so you get these beautiful textures especially when you're using a paper like this, which has a little bit of rough to it. And you get the hills and valleys. So the pigment is heavier, it settles down, and so you get this nice contrast between light and dark, as opposed to something like the Paynes gray, where you see how it really loves the water and it diffuses and you get sort of an even kind of color shift. For the warm tones, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Daniel Smith's Shadow Violet. Now this So when that dried, we have beautiful tones of blue, gray, beige, deep plum, beautiful colors together. In the end, there are 35 swatches total because I didn't finish one. And I figured out what I wanted to do. So I think I'm going to do close-ups for you of the swatches that I ended up using in the final 9 palette so that this isn't a 4-hour-long video. Now, this is the final selection I created. Ta-da! This is what I chose. I have got the Sodalite, Moonglow, Perelyne Green, Quin Gold, Autumn Mystery, Shimmering Lights, Raw Umber Violet, Quin Coral, and Shadow Violet. And then I added, because I had some extra pigment, some Sodalite that's actually on the page to paint from, and some Lunar Blue. So really, I have 10 in the palette. And I'm going to do a little swatch for you so you can see what these actually look like. Now, the one thing I will say about this book is it is well bound. So I like to use these guys here because the pages like to snap up. Okay, let's do a quick swatch of these and then you can see what they look like. So that's the finished palette, and you know, it's actually turned out really well for me. I'm shooting this a little bit longer after I did all the swatching, and this is one of the paintings I made with it. And I really love having preset palettes like this because all the colors work together and you don't really have to do a lot of thinking about it. You can do totally intuitive works like this one and just let the colors sing for themselves. I also really, really love that little bit of metallic sheen that you get from the duotone mystery and the shimmering lights. Beautiful, beautiful colors together. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this process today. I hope it helped you feel like if you're trying to choose one of these colors, you have a bit more idea of what it looks like on paper, and perhaps it's inspiring you to go and grab your watercolors and sit and play and make some swatches, because gosh knows, it is a lot of fun. If it did connect with you today, let me know in the comments, or if you have any questions about any of the materials or any of the process. And if you enjoyed, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps me out as a brand new channel. And if you'd like to see more from me, please subscribe. I would love to have you along for the journey and to enjoy. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Tanya, and I'll catch you in the next video.